In this video, we will learn how to solve proportion equations. But before solving proportion equations, we recall some concepts related to proportions. Before solving proportion equations, we will learn what is ratio, what is meant by unit, what is meant by rate, then what is proportion and what is equality test for proportions. So, first of all, we learn what is ratio. The ratio is a comparison of two quantities. Ratio tells us how much times is one quantity or is of other. Let us suppose there are two quantities A and B. We mostly represent these two quantities as this colon symbol and we read it as A ratio B. Or we can also represent sometime read ratio as ratio of two quantities as A to B. Or ratio can also be represented in the form of fractions. Let us suppose there are two quantities A and B, then their ratio can also be written as A over B. These all are ways of representing a ratio. So we learn more about ratio by some examples. Let's think about ratio of boys to girls in a classroom. Suppose there are 12 boys and 3 girls in a classroom. So we are looking for the ratio of boys to girls. That is, there are 12 boys and 3 girls. So we will present their ratio as 12 to 3. Or in another form, we can also write it as 12 ratio 3. Or another way is the fraction form, that is 12 over 3. Now, we can also simplify the ratios like we simplify the fractions. L- It is clear that we can divide both the denominators and the numerator by 3. That is 3 ones are 3 and 3 fours are 12. So which is 12 ratio 3 is equal to 4 ratio 1. While solving fraction, we usually do not write 1 in the denominator. But it is important to note that while dealing with the ratio, we always have to write 1 in the denominator because it tells us that because it has a meaning in ratios. It tells us that for 4 boys there is a girl. There is a one girl. So now we in other form we can write it again as 4 ratio 1 or 4 to 1 is again equivalent to 12 to 3. Now we learn what is rate and we will also try to figure out the difference between ratio and rate. A rate is a ratio in which units are different. Note that in rate units are different, but while dealing the ratio, the units of both the quantities must be similar. Typically, we see that as units rates. How much of something per unit of another thing. We understand ratio rate by an example. A car drove 300 miles on 6 gallons of gas. So if the car is drove on 300 miles on 6 gallons of gas, then we can write it in the fraction form as 300 miles for 6 gallons of gas. So the question is, if the car can be drove for 300 miles on 6 gallons of gas, Then if what if we use 1 gallon of gas? Then how much the car we can drive the car? So if we simplify this fraction, we will get 6 times 1 is 6, 6 5s are 30, 0. So for 50 miles, 60 miles, 1 gallon of gas will be used. So if if we are if we need, so 1 gallon of gas is enough for 50 miles. So now we can see that 50 miles per unit, that is unit, single quantity. So 50 miles per unit gallons of mass, that is, if we have 1 gallon of gas, then we can drive our car for 50 miles. Similarly, if we are traveling on a journey of 100 miles, then we will need 2 gallons of gas. If we are traveling on a journey of 150 miles, so we would need 3 gallons of gas. So this is how we can calculate unit rate. Now we can also determine the price of a unit thing. If 12 eggs are purchased for $3.600, then what would be the price of one egg? So again we will use the rate, that is we needed price for one egg, and since 3.60 is the price for 12 eggs, and if we divide it, 3.60 divided by 12, it's 0.3, $0.3 per one egg. So the price of one egg is $0.3. So again we have determined the price of unit item, so it is a rate. So it is worth noting that a rate have different units, but ratio always have same units. So we do not need to write the units while solving the ratios. So what is proportion? A proportion states that two ratios are equal. If two ratios are equal, then we say that it is a proportion. We can determine if there is a ratio by using the equality test for fractions. So what is equality test for fractions? Let's learn it. If we multiply the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of the other fraction, that is 4 times 2 it's 8, 4 times 2 it's 8. And similarly, if we multiply the denominator of one fraction to the other fraction, 8 ones are 8, and if their answers are equal, then we will say that the two ratios are equal and it forms a proportion. This equality test is also called as cross multiplication. This process, that is multiplying the nominate multiplying the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of other fraction. Similarly, multiplying the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of other fraction is called cross multiplication. So 1 over 4 and 2 over 8 is yes a proportion. Similarly, now if 3 over 8 is equal to 4 or 7 a proportion, we again do a equality test. We multiply the denominator of one fraction to be the numerator of the other fraction. 8 times 4 is 32. Similarly, we multiply the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of other. 7 times 3 is 21. Are 21 and 32 are equal? No, they are not equal. So 3 over 8 and 4 over 7 is not a proportion. So actually what we do, we will multiply the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of the other. Similarly, denominator of the one fraction to the numerator of other to test the proportion. Now more generally, if A ratio B is equal to C ratio D, then AD, that is A times D, is equal to B times C, that is A times D is equal to B times C. So we will use this result while solving the proportion equation. So from where does this AD is equal to BC come? We multiply the denominators b and d or find their least common multiple and multiply it by both sides. That is a over b is equal to c over d. B and d, we will multiply b and d to the both sides of the equation. B will cancel out b and we will left with a d. Similarly, d will cancel out d and we will left with b and c. Now we solve proportion equations by cross multiplication. First, we will multiply the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of other. That is x multiplied by 4. 4 multiplied by x. Similarly, we will multiply the denominator of one fraction to the numerator of the other. 7 times 2. 7 times 2. So 4x is equal to 7 times 2 is 14. Now we want to isolate x on the left hand side. How to isolate x on the left hand side? What 4 is being multiplied by x. So we to isolate x, we will divide both sides by 4. Remember that we always divide the coefficient of x on both sides of the equation. So 4 will cancel out 4. We will left with x on left hand side and we will simplify it. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 7 is 14. So we are left with 7 over 2. So x is 7 over 2. We can also verify our result by replacing x with 7 over 2. So 4 over 7 is equal to 2 over. Now we will replace x by 7 over 2. Since this value is in the denominator is being divided, so it will multiply with the numerator. That is 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 over 7 is equal to 4 over 7, which satisfies our the original equation. Now we solve another example by cross multiplication. We will multiply 7 by 8, that is 7 multiplied by 8, and 4 by y. 4 multiplied by y. So 7 8s are 56. Now we want to isolate unknown value on one side of the equation. To do so, we will divide the coefficient of unknown value on both sides. So 4 will cancel out 4. So y is equal to 4 ones are 4. 1 will we move cat to the other next. So 4 4s are 16. So y is equal to 14. Now we will replace y by 14 and check if our Solution is to we will replace 14 by y and simplify it. 7 times 1 is 7, 7 2s are 14, so 1 over 2 is equal to again 4 1s are 4, 4 2s are 8, which is again equal to 1 over 2. Now we solve another example. We will do it by cross multiplication. X times 6 is 6x, and 7 times 2 is 14. To isolate x on the left hand side, we will divide its coefficient on both sides of the equation. 6 will cancel out 6 and we will simplify it. We will left with 7 over 3. In order to check the solution, we will replace x by 7 over 3, and it's it's an easy step and you can do it by yourself. Now let's solve another more complicated problem. So we multiply 5 by the k minus 7. 5 times k minus 7. Similarly, we multiply k minus 2 to the 3. 3 into k minus 2. It is important that w- it is it would be incorrect if we only multiply 5 by k and we do not multiply it by 7. Here we will use distributive law and we will multiply 5 by both k and minus 7. That is 5 multiplied by k and 5 multiplied by 7. So 5 multiplied by k is 5k and 5 sevens are 35. Similarly, we multiply 3 by k is 3k and 3 twos are 6. Now since we want to find the value of unknown quantity, that is k, we'll isolate unknown value on one side of the equation. To do so, we will move 3k to the left hand side of the equation. So 5k, and when we will move 3k to the left hand side, we will get its symbol would changes to minus, that is minus 3k. Similarly, we will have to move 35 on the other side of the equation as well, to isolate only these unknown value on the left hand side. So when we move plus minus 35 on the right hand side, its symbol would changes to plus, so we will get plus 35. So 5k minus, note that 5k and 3k are like quantities, so we can add or subtract them. So 5k minus 3k is 2k, and 35 minus 6. If there are if there are two numbers with opposite symbol, then we will subtract them. So 35 minus 6 is 29, and we use the symbol with greater value, which is plus. So now to isolate k on the left hand side, we will divide its coefficient on both sides. So 2 will cancel out 2, so k is equal to 29 over 2. Now to check its solution, you can put back k is equal to 29 over 2 and simplify it to check its solution. Now let's solve another proportion equation, and we will use equality, and we will do it by cross multiplication. So we will multiply 7 by v plus 4, v plus 4, and 8 by v minus 7, v minus 7. And since we want to find the value of v, we now simplify the equation. First we multiply 7 by v, by then 7 by 4, so 7 times v is 7v. 7 4s are 28. Again we multiply 8 by v, then 8 by 7, so 8 multiplied by v is 8v, and 8 multiplied by minus 7s are 56. Now we want to isolate these unknown values on one side of the equation. To do so, we will move 8v on the left hand side. Its symbol would be changes to minus. Similarly, we will move 28 to the other side, and its symbol would also be changes to minus. So 7 8 minus 7v minus 8v is minus 1v, and minus 56 and minus 28 is minus 84. Now to isolate v, we will divide with minus 1 on both sides and its symbol would be changes to plus. So v is equal to 84. Now it's an easy practice to replace v by 84 and verify its solution. Now let's solve another proportion equation. We will do it by cross multiplication. We multiply minus 3 by 2x plus 2 minus 3 by 2x plus 2 and 6 by x minus 5. So minus 3 by 2x. So 3 times 2 is minus 6x and 3 times 2 is again 6. Minus changes its symbol to minus. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 5 is 6 times 5 is 30. So we want to isolate the noun values on one side of the equation. To do so, we will move 6 to the left hand side. So its symbol from plus changes to minus 6s when we move it to the left hand side. Similarly, to isolate this minus 6s, we will also have to move minus 6 to the right hand side. So its symbol would changes to plus 6. So minus 6 and minus 6x, since symbols are similar, so we will add them. Minus 6 is minus 12x and minus 30 plus 6 is minus 24. We will divide minus 12 on both sides to isolate variable on one side of the equation. Minus 12 will cancel out minus 12 and we will left with 12 ones are 12, 12 twos are 24 and minus minus will be changes to plus, so x is 2. Now again it's easy practice to replace x by 2 and verify its solution.